هاي، مرحبا بكم في هذه الفيديوهات التعليمية التي سوف نتعلم فيها كيف تنفذ المشاريع البنية التحتية في المملكة المتحدة. في هذا التمرين سوف نتعلم كيف تنفذ بناء المانهولات. But before we start, let's have a look at this manhole here in this exercise. And we need to identify what is all these items in here. What are they and where we get them from? Let's take them one by one. We looked at them in 3D and we will look at them in elevation and we will look at them in plan. 3 views. We're going to switch from one to another to have a full picture about how to build these manholes in UK. So to start with now, we let's go through each individual item from the bottom right to the top. The first item is this one here. This one is called the manhole base. The manhole base is what we call in Arabic is kharasana. This manhole base, we build it on site, which is from institute concrete. So how we work out the quantity of this manhole base and how we deliver it on site? Well, first let's have a look now. We got a picture here to show that, like all countries in the world, they use this concrete mixer. So we order the concrete and we deliver it on site, and we can use this concrete to the specification. Alternatively, some other sites, they use a smaller version where it is time consuming. So to work out the quantity of this base is, if you have a software like any AutoCAD software or any other software, by clicking on this you will have right here and the property, you will see that the volume of this base is 1.958 cubic meter. يعني it's about close to 2 cubic meters. And alternatively, if you don't have a software like this and you want to work it out on the traditional way, so it's easy again by just looking at the dimensions, and with a calculator you do it like similar 3 meters times 2.9. that will give you the area of the base times the thickness أو السماكة البase, which is 0.225, equal 1.957 1.958, وهي يعني كمية مقربة decimal places. So how did I know that it is the سماكة البase is 225? It's by the project itself. You'll be given the specification, and this is a standard manhole, and we've been given the base is 225 here, and the diameter, for example, 1200, and وكذلك. So let's go back to the 3D and we have a look at the other items available. So we know that this is the base. The next one is this one is called the manhole ring. Manhole ring is precast manhole ring أو الخرسانة الجاهزة. So how we get this manhole ring and how we work out the calculations about what height I go from the base to this level here. So these manhole rings, you can put an order on a building merchant or any supplier to be supplied by these manhole rings. We have here a photo showing you an example of what's the manhole rings like to be when it be ordered. This is like, but they comes all different heights and different diameter. The next item is what we're looking at is called this item here. This item here is called the cover slab. Cover slab. So a cover slab is usually standard thickness of 150 mil, but the diameter is very dependent on the diameter of the manhole. It's usually bigger diameter than the manhole ring, and the reason for that I will go through it later on in this tutorial, why it is bigger than the manhole. And we have a picture here to show the frames. These are the same thing in the yard. You can order them and they will be delivered to you on site. The same, similar to the manhole rings. So now we know the base manhole ring, the cover slab. What is next here? After we lay the cover slab, then we have to, as we said, is this cover slabs, they all delivered with opening, like this one here. This opening here is for the frame and cover أو الغطاء to be placed on the top of the cover slab. But before you put the الغطاء, we usually lay 2 courses of brickwork أو الطابوق حتى الكفر سلاب يستند على الطابوق كما هو موضح هنا في details. Shows here you got, this is the cover slab and then 3 courses, 3 طبقات من البريكورك, then الغطاء. So in this exercise I just drew 1 course of brickwork للتوضيح. On top of the brickwork, this is الغطاء. هذا هو الغطاء. أو they call it frame and cover, and it comes in different sizes and in different shapes. It comes in circular as well and many other shapes. So now we understand the items of the manhole. We left with one item here. If we go to this is, they call it the concrete surround. What is the concrete surround? Concrete surround أو لحماية المانهول ring هو concrete in situ, similar to the concrete we had for the manhole base, ولكن هذا في نهاية البناء يصب or pour around the manhole ring لحماية المانهول. And as you see, why now we can tell why the cover slab is bigger than the manhole ring, because in the end it comes and tied to it with the protection. And we have a picture of how they do that, where is they got the cover slab. I mean, I got one here, shows you about the placing the cover slab into it, and this one is the pipe with the pipe connected to the manhole rings, and كذلك. So now we know all the items of building the manhole. Let's get now into the calculations of it, where we got to think now, and we have to concentrate about how to work out all these items and put them together to build this manhole. As we explained earlier in the tutorial, the base is being poured, which is 225 here, 225 millimeters. Having placed the concrete, the manhole base, we laid the pipe to the invert level. Once we laid the pipes to the invert level given, then a layer of protection of in situ concrete goes on top of the pipe, but not in the middle. So once we have this layer, then the manhole ring will sit on top of the protection layer of concrete. Let's do that mathematically. As we said here, we look at this. We've been given the cover level equal 0.650. Just to make sure what this figure is, 0.650, that means it is 650 mil above the sea level. While the invert of the pipe, which is المنسوب الذي هو داخل البايب في هذه النقطة هو minus 1.725 يعني 1 meter 725 mil below أقل من مستوى سطح البحر. إذن to calculate the required height of the manhole ring, what we have to do is, now we know that this height here of the invert and the cover level, we subtract one from the other. Once we subtract one from the other in here, which is 0.650 meter, minus, here we have to be careful, it is minus 1.725. If that level, the invert, was in a plus, we just minus that straight away. But because if it is a minus, you have to be careful here. You said minus, but the minus 1.65 as 1. So we all know minus to minus is change the sign into plus. So we end up adding this to that, we will come to 2.375 meter. To see that, how that works in the elevation here, this is the figure. From the invert to the cover level is 2.375 meter. Okay, this is quite helpful here. Now I know the height from the invert into the cover, the level 2.375. I'm still thinking how I'm going to work out the height of this manhole ring. Having bearing in mind that the manhole rings, they don't come as they are precast or هي جاهزة, do not come with any height. They come on specific height. And here is the tricky part, which you have to work it out. The manhole rings comes at heights here in UK standard is 0.250 meter, 0.5, 0.750, 1 meter. يعني 250 مل، 500 مل، 750 مل، 1 meter. I know there are some places where you can have a special order, but that will work out very expensive. So, to work out the height here, what we have to do is, we need to know the height or the thickness of the cover level and the thickness of the brickwork. How many layers and what the thickness? We know that the brickwork is 60 millimeter, the thickness of every layer. In this exercise is one layer. Usually here in UK, the brickwork is between 2 layers to 3 layers. But in this exercise, and the simplicity, I just put 1 layer. So if we know the thickness of the cover slab, which is 60 mil, sorry, the cover slab is 90 mil, and we know the brickwork here is 60 mil, so we know that. Then the cover slab, which is, we go back to it, which is this one here, this one, cover slab. That is, we know that is 150, so we got 150 here, plus we got here 150, that will give us 300 millimeter. 300 millimeter. Then we got here, the thickness of the pipe is 300, so 225, then the protection is 100, you add all of that, which will give you 0.625 minus the height between the invert and the cover. This will give you 1.750. I repeat. Let's bring the calculator here. We have the cover level, which is 0.090, plus the thickness of the brickwork, which is 0.060, equal 0.15, plus the thickness of the frame and cover, which is 0.150, which is equal 0.3. Then what we left with? We left with this protection and the thickness of the diameter of the pipe. So 0.3. Then we know that the thickness of the concrete protection, it is 0.1, which is 100 mil, and then plus the diameter of the pipe, which is 0.225. The final is 0.625, like what we found out here. So we go back again and we know now the height between the invert and the final level of the cover level is 2.375 minus the thickness of all these items we worked out, 0.625. You will end with, finally, is the height of the, which is here, that's the height of the ring required. But to have a look at this height is 1.75 meter. And 1 meter, 750 mil. Let's have a look at what we got here. We got, in these rings comes standard, as we explained. We can pick 1 meter ring and one of 0.750, and we put one on top of the other to reach this manhole, as it shows here. You have put one on top of the other to reach the final height of the ring. Once having done that, and you have reached this level, then the rest are easy. You just place the cover slab on top, then you place the brickwork and the frame on cover. Then you will have the manhole is being built on this, as you see it in this 3D diagram. If you look inside here, you look inside here, and what you see the pipes are inside and the manhole has been built. Question now. Question is now, so how about what are these structures are inside the manhole? Let's hide this now, and let's have a look inside here. So what are these? These are things. These are called the benging. The benging is a concrete which is they mix it on site in one of these things, but they use a finer stone, or they just use sand and cement with some chemical material to mix it and to make all these shapes for the flow of the المجال الصحية. The flow will goes from one end to the other. We call it channels. So now this manhole is being built, and all these items are being placed ready. So the only left is with now is to understand is before we build this manhole, يعني قبل ما بدينا نبني هذه المانهول, what's the ground level was like? ما هي طبيعة التربة التي كانت عليها قبل أن نوصل إلى هذا الحفر? That's something we have to look at it here, which will give us an example. This example here, this same example is this is an area. هذه مدينة سكنية, وهذه هي الشوارع. شارع هو يعني الطرق التي تلف حول المدينة. This is the road that goes around the residential. So the drainage system here, you got manholes going around. So in here we see that this is the manhole and this is the ground level. So how we get to this one? So if we go to there, and we have to look at the 3D here. Let's look at the 3D, and let's see what's that look like. And let's see, we'll go that. So this is when you start excavating for the manhole before you build the manhole. This is how you excavate it, أو ذا هي طريقة الحفر حتى نوصل إلى البيس أو الانفرت أول شيء, بعدين البيس, بعدين then this will show us what it look like when the manhole is being built, and this is how the manhole is being built inside, and it's ready to be backfilled أو الردم حول المانهول لترجع التربة إلى وضعها الطبيعي, وبعدين or you do the road tarmacking or التبليط كما هو موضح في الصور الموجودة لنا في مثلا في إحدى الطرق التي تم اتخاذ كما هي هنا. فعندما يتم طبيعة الردم والتبليط, all you see is the cover. You don't see all the manhole and all the work and hard work we've been doing. Nobody will see that. All you see is the cover for this manhole. So as we go back now again, and we have a quick look now, and you see the manhole, how it's been built, and what's the final shape to it, and why we have this protection here, where if I take that off, it's protection to protect the manhole ring. In the next part في الجزء الثاني we will explain about how we're gonna lay these pipes أو الأنابيب and ما هي المناسيب التي نستخدمها أو الميل أو كيف يتم التعامل معها في بناء البنية التحتية. Well, before we go, we have a look at this model of this project where there are many items here. We can explain that in the future. I hope you benefited from this tutorial, and please let me know if you have any questions or would like to know any more things about constructing manholes in the United Kingdom. Thank you very much and see you again.